morning, everyone. I'm so pleased to be back. How many of you have attended one of these WEPs events before? Well, oh, that's wonderful. It's great to see you back. It's great to see new people, and a special greeting to those people who are watching this video streaming. I hear an echo, Matt. Am I okay? Yeah. Okay. I just as soon not have an echo. That's not the best way to do this. So thank you all for coming. I want to say that one of the reasons that we have no break this morning is because we have an embarrassment of riches. We've had such wonderful presentations to get us started, and Valerie Jarrett, who is the head of the White House Council on Women and Girls and special advisor to President Obama, has opened time in her schedule to join us as well. So we're going to take our break as we need it, but we will have the opportunity to have really wonderful speakers with us all day. I wanted to be sure that all of you tweet. If you can, please do that. We're really anxious to get the word out as far as we can. The kinds of things we heard already this morning, the 50-50 or why not. You know, all of these kinds of phrases are really important for the future. So if you have any questions and you don't know where something is, try the registration desk because they seem to know everything, and that will keep you going today. Now, I can't tell you enough how wonderful this team is. You notice they weren't a large team when they all stood up here. And I have watched the growth of the women's empowerment principles year after year, and it is a very impressive effort from the bottom up, but also guided very, very carefully by this team that does the work here from the UN Global Compact and UN Women. So I'd like you to join me in giving a round of applause to this terrific team. Now we have our first speaker this morning who is from that team, except for the leadership, obviously. But Kristin Hetle of UN Women is going to talk a little bit about what's happening. All these WEPs that are developing, you know, 542 CEOs have now signed the WEPs. There are things going on in countries all over the world, and she's going to talk a bit about that. She is the Director of Strategic Partnerships Division in UN Women, where she oversees the UN Women's corporate communications. And before doing that, she was the Director of Communications for the Ministry of Labor in Norway and Chief of Communications in UNFPA, which is really quite a difficult job. So there you are. Thank you. Please join us.
Good morning, everyone. Ooh. I usually pride myself of not needing a microphone. I hear often about, you know, how girls need to learn to speak up. I think I can thank my mother and also my father that I always spoke up from a very early age, and I spoke with a loud voice, so I've actually had to speak a little less loud when I have a microphone. It's truly a pleasure to join you today to mark the 3rd anniversary of the launch of the Women's Empowerment Principles. When I started in UN Women 1.5 years ago, I had the impression that this was something that had been going on for a really long time. It seemed so established already, and to my surprise, no, it was just not even a toddler at that stage. Today, I think we can say the 3-year-old is really running and running fast. I would like to share some examples with you today of how this very strategic partnership between UN Women and the UN Global Compact Office, business and civil society leaders, academia and UN partners, how this partnership has spurred action and change around the globe through innovation and collaboration among stakeholders at the national level. It's exciting to note the tremendous growth in the numbers of national coalitions forming around the principles to promote greater awareness of the goals and joint approaches to implementation. To give one recent example, in Serbia, UN Women has been working actively since 2011 to promote the WEPs with the UN Global Compact Network and other Serbian businesses. And last month, we concluded a 2.5-day WEP training workshop for representatives from employers associations, women entrepreneurs and business owners, and the provincial ombudsman. As a result, these groups are now equipped to continue outreach and knowledge building with the companies with which they work. Those of you who have attended these events in past years will remember the strong showing of Brazilian public companies that emerged as early leaders on WEPs implementation. I'm pleased to report that efforts in Brazil have expanded and now include a formal alliance on WEPs implementation, the Brazilian Business Alliance for Strengthening the Role of Women in Society, which is currently focusing its efforts on establishing a monitoring framework for progress on principles 1, 4, and 7. And I think this it's an example of what is happening in a way in the next phase of the WEPs. After the signature, after the declared intentions, it's starting to monitor and see what are companies actually doing, how are they implementing the principles, how are they moving the agenda forward. The alliance in Brazil is currently composed of 7 major private firms with an open invitation to many more to join. And key civil society and academics also participates in line with the WEPs' emphasis on inclusion. The WEPs network of companies in Switzerland, supported by UN Women's National Committee in that country, also has strong support from the Swiss government, a key partner in this initiative. This Swiss coalition of WEPs collaborators recently held its 2nd annual National WEPs event, focusing on gender equality in the supply chain, which led to an additional 9 companies in Switzerland signing the CEO statement of support for the principles. In Japan, the government has taken a leading role in the promotion of the principles to companies through its Gender Equality Bureau of the Cabinet Office. This is quite remarkable that I was with the executive director, Michelle Bachelet, who you heard this morning, on an official trip to Japan last year, and we met with the Gender Equality Office. And they actually like the principles so much that they have just said, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Let's just take these principles and use them as our own tools in advancing gender equality in the corporate sector and in the workplace. The Bureau, the Gender Equality Bureau in Japan, has established a dedicated WEPs advisory council to work with UN Women and UN Global Compact to raise awareness about the principles within Japan's corporate sector. These examples are really just a small handful of the many collaborations that have taken root in the past year. I could go on, but I'll stop here, as you will you will have the opportunity to hear many more examples, hear from participants who have been directly involved in organizing and driving these efforts, from WEP signatory companies and UN Global Compact networks of companies to key NGO supporters, such as the National Committees for UN Women and Business and Professional Women International, to academia and exciting initiatives such as the Gender Equality Working Group of PRME. And I confess I had to look that up. We have a lot of abbreviations in the UN, but I don't know all of them by heart. But it's the Principle of Responsible Management Education, and you probably all knew that. But PRME. Well, each of these coalitions takes a slightly different form, responding to its own national context and priorities. I hope that you can see potential for greater impact to be made through joining forces and working together on the ground. And I'm sure that with your energy and commitment, I'm impressed that you're going to be here without even a coffee break. At your next annual event, we'll be able to highlight further examples. So in closing, I want to thank all of you here today for your efforts to promote the gender equality and women's empowerment goals of the WEPs. and for your work and actions aimed at achieving an equitable, inclusive, sustainable future for all women and men. Thank you very much and have a great day.